Jay from Real Street Performance. I'm out here at Chino Valley, Arizona at the White Goose Bar Racing headquarters where Gary, Mike, and Greg are working on the cars. And it's a really neat illustration of three guys that played it right through their careers and ended up in retirement doing what they love. So every day they get to come to their shop and just work on stuff, which is pretty cool if you're deep in the cars. We're gonna dyno the Roadster, which is gonna be really interesting because I've not dynoed that car before. It's mainly just work on it out at the racetrack and get to see some of the systems with the vehicle stationary. There was a problem with one of the drive belts flying off, and we'll get to kind of understand that problem because you get to stare at the engine while it's run on the dyno. The Datsun got swapped over to a Motec ECU, so we need to do some configuration and get it up and running. And while we're here, we'll also go over some of the very different processes that go into a land speed racing car versus a road course car or a drag race car, and show you guys just how much weight is hung all over these cars to help create traction and stability at over 200-mile-an-hour mark. So pretty neat time, and I hope you guys enjoy it. For those of you that aren't familiar with the engine, it's a Mazworks machined 2JZ. It's a 90mm Brian Crower crank. It's got Brian Crower H-beams and Brian Crower valve train. It's a VVTi cylinder head, which helps it average a little bit better. So it's an 8685 precision turbo, but with the VVTi, it comes up pretty hard. You want to try to control the power as you are trying to manage traction instead of having all that power come in hard like it would with a 80+ mm turbo on a 2JZ without VVTi. It's a daily dry sump, a lot of oil volume on board because you're running the car for a long period of time and the oil's getting worked. So the dry sump is a critical thing. We've got some prototype stuff going on with the water pump, 3-inch impeller water pump, quite a bit bigger than the OEM water pump. We're able to make over 40 pounds of water pressure in the engine, which you're generating a lot of heat and you're flowing a ton of water through it to try to get that heat back out of the engine to keep it alive. Air to water intercooler with lots of water on board. There's a huge water tank on this car that gets packed full of ice before a run. So all in all, pretty awesome piece. It's got a Mazworks dual fuel rail plenum. We're about to add the second set of injectors so we can go into using ethanol or methanol for fuel. To date, we've only run the car on C16, so getting to that alcohol-based fuel will offer us another line of cooling in the cylinder, helping it stay alive and being able to run more ignition timing because you've got temps controlled better. It doesn't rev much past 8,500. We've kind of called that our hard limit. It's got a fire ring head gasket. Not a very exotic engine, but it's proved to be a pretty tough one. So again, 2JZ stuff is really neat to be a part of. The transmission is pretty basic. It's a TH400 with a quick change rear in the back, which you can kind of have an infinite set of ratios as you change those pinion gears on the quick change. So pretty neat setup all in all. So we found a man that has a dyno jet at a shop at his house, and we brought the Roadster out to dyno the Roadster, and it was very fruitful. Some of the obstacles were we weren't really allowed to make or able to make much more than 30 pounds of boost, and that's because the with the car at speed, when the air inlet is being fed air, it's easy to make 45 or 50 pounds of boost, but when the car's stationary, it doesn't have that force flow of air, and the wastegate springs aren't able to overcome that. So we only got to run 30 or 32 pounds of boost, but we were able to see some of the bracketry and some of the problems we've experienced with the belt. With the vehicle stationary, you can watch the vibration, how the vibration kind of takes command of the brackets and shakes things around, and we'll be strengthening some of that stuff up, and worked on some of our short course tune-up, because we have a pretty good Bonneville tune-up, but on the short course you can run more ignition timing because the engine's under load for less time. It's only 1.3 miles. So we have quite a bit of a power gain there. And it was a good check because I've raced that car before, and those guys have raced that car a lot, but never got a chance to have it on a dyno. So, instead of learning at the racetrack, you go to a chassis dyno and learn a bunch in a very short period of time. So in the morning, we covered quite a bit of stuff. The car's in good health, and we can go back to the shop and work on some of that bracket stuff. But overall, really successful morning, really super beautiful area out here in Arizona, and a good time to be had as we head into this season with our first event at El Mirage, which is a 1.3 mile dirt drag strip. So pretty cool stuff. I know you guys have seen this car before, but it's pretty cool to be underneath it. This land speed racing is just a large departure from drag racing. And one of the things that you do is you get a lot of weight in the vehicle, so you can have traction and basically like keep it on the ground. So when this car left the Datsun factory in 71 or whatever, it weighed around 2,300 pounds, and now it weighs just over 4,000 pounds, and there's weight hung all over the bottom of the car. And they've actually taken a 1/4-inch piece of steel plate and made the belly pan out of 1/4-inch steel. Just the scale of how much weight you add to one of these vehicles to create stability at that speed and surface is pretty amazing, because as drag racers, we would take anything that wasn't used in the car and put it in a bucket and try to get 10 or 15 pounds out of a car when we really get to the end, when you've taken all the big stuff out. And here you have a vehicle that the attempts have been made to do nothing but stack weight into the vehicle to help create stability. So it's pretty cool stuff. So we're all done with our work here in Arizona. It's been a pretty cool trip, and the next time we'll see these vehicles will be at the El Mirage Dry Lake Bed in May. Mark Conti is gonna try to get his Dirty 2 hat, which is, there's the red hat when you go to Bonneville, and then there's the Dirty 2 hat when you go to El Mirage, and they call it the Dirty 2 because you're literally in this dirt bowl of an environment. He did some licensing runs last year, and now going into this new season, hopefully we can get him a Dirty 2 hat. The Roadster's tuned up and ready to go to El Mirage. Try to maybe get a new personal best out of that car and have some fun. So really enjoying this land speed racing thing. It's a really incredible experience, and I think having thought about it when I was a kid, to be able to be involved with it now is really a privilege. So I enjoy it, and I enjoy you guys kind of tracking along with the journey. So see you next time.